The growth on Instagram has been tremendous.
So it's a very simple app. You take a photo. Here's something interesting. It makes your photos better.
Well, what's amazing is I think the last time we talked, we had like a couple million users on Instagram.
Yes.
Instagram, 2 billion monthly active users, over $40 billion in annual revenue, 95 million photos and videos posted daily. Instagram is one of the most successful apps to ever have been developed, transforming our society in ways many of us would never have imagined. So it may sound questionable to state that an app of such magnitude and societal impact could ever have been neglected, as indicated by the title of this video. However, the Instagram we see and use today is one that's had to fight for resources and overcome hurdles to its growth, all originating from a place you wouldn't expect. Instagram's very own parent company, Meta. Why was Instagram neglected? In order to understand, we need to go back to the beginning. It's 2004 and Mark Zuckerberg has just launched the Facebook.com, a website designed to connect students at Harvard University. Within 24 hours of its launch, over 1,200 users have signed up. Little does Mark Zuckerberg know, but that immediate success will be repeated again and again as Facebook transforms from dorm room startup to one of the most powerful technology companies in the world. By 2008, 100 million users had signed up. By 2010, that number had risen to 500 million. And 2 years later, in 2012, Facebook had achieved 1 billion active users. 2012 was a special year for Facebook. Its initial public offering valued the company at an enormous $104 billion, one of the biggest IPOs in technology history. And it was also the year Facebook acquired a new app everyone was talking about called Instagram. By that time, things had been changing in the world of the internet. Steve Jobs had launched the Apple iPhone in 2007, paving the way for the mobile revolution that would transform the way we consumed content. Publishers rushed to make mobile versions of their websites, often referred to as mobile subdomains or MDOTs, or to make them mobile responsive. All with the understanding that mobile internet browsing would compete with and eventually overtake desktop browsing. The launch of the App Store in July 2008 and Google Play later that year led to a frenzy of app development, with many founders jumping on the trend of rising smartphone sales and the growing number of hours we were spending on our phones each day. One of these apps was Instagram, launched on the 6th of October 2010 by Kevin Systrom and Mike Krieger. The simplicity of photos, high-quality filters along with social sharing features made it an immediate hit. On day one, 25,000 users signed up. Within a week, that number had quadrupled to 100,000. By the time Instagram launched on Android in April 2012, it was downloaded more than 1 million times within the first 12 hours. Ever wary of potential competitors to Facebook, Zuckerberg was keeping an eye on Instagram, and when news broke of a $1 billion acquisition, it sent shockwaves throughout the tech industry. Internally, some Facebook staff questioned the decision to spend $1 billion on a team comprising 13 people and a business with no revenue model. However, others understood the significance in absorbing what could have become a major threat to Facebook's dominance. As one Facebook executive put it, they weren't paying $1 billion for an app, they were paying $1 billion for magic. Instagram's integration into the Facebook family signified a positive step, at least in the beginning, to both Facebook and Instagram. For Facebook, the acquisition was additional firepower with which to compete with Twitter and Google, which had entered the social networking space with Google+ the previous year. For Instagram, it had Facebook's infrastructure and resources at its fingertips, and had also secured a commitment to allow it to grow independently. However, Instagram would soon learn that Facebook's paranoia in neutralizing its competition applied both externally and internally. In the world of Facebook, you could still be regarded as a threat even by the company that had acquired you. Instagram could certainly be forgiven for thinking it was special. At that point in time, no other app had been acquired for such a large sum. When the Instagram team first visited Facebook's Menlo Park headquarters, they received a standing ovation when staff recognized who they were. But to Facebook, Instagram was more threat prevention than prized possession. Any app that had the potential to take users away from Facebook had to be crushed or acquired. While Instagram was settling into the Facebook ecosystem, Zuckerberg had been emailing Evan Spiegel, the CEO of Snapchat, Snapchat, asking him to catch up at Facebook headquarters. Snapchat was an alluring acquisition prospect for Zuckerberg, not only because of the app's popularity, but also because Instagram users were experiencing the embryonic stages of the pressure to be perfect, and younger users didn't see Facebook as a cool app anymore. But more on that later. Facebook would eventually offer to acquire Snapchat for $3 billion, 3 times as much as it had paid for Instagram, but the offer was declined. In 2014, Facebook would step it up a notch and acquire WhatsApp for an amount that made the Instagram deal seem minuscule at $19 billion. What had once been a hallmark of Instagram's special status, the ability to operate independently, was subsequently offered to WhatsApp and Oculus VR. Mark Zuckerberg's fixation on up-and-coming apps that could dislodge Facebook's prominent position set the scene for Instagram's neglect. However, Instagram was growing fast, perhaps too fast for Zuckerberg's liking, and it became abundantly clear that it could no longer be ignored and left to do its own thing. When it came time to implement some Facebook-style changes, both Facebook and Instagram would soon learn that they were two very different companies. When Mark Zuckerberg first launched the Facebook.com in 2004, he once told the Harvard Crimson, "I just like making it, and knowing that it works and having it be wildly successful is cool, I guess, but I mean, I dunno, that's not the goal." Over the years, that attitude would change considerably and provide a stark contrast to the attitude of Instagram. Instagram was hands-on, with the community team manually highlighting users who were creative and set a quality standard for other users to aspire to. Facebook was hands-off and let the algorithm do the work. Instagram was about inspiration, whereas Facebook was about virality. But the biggest difference between the two was Facebook's relentless obsession with growth. It was all about getting new users and getting people to spend more time on Facebook, even if it meant hyper-surveillance of user activity. This anything-goes mentality for growth would be reflected time and again against Facebook's would-be competitors. When Chief Technology Officer and high school friend of Mark Zuckerberg, Adam D'Angelo, left Facebook in 2008 to found the Q&A site Quora the following year, Facebook would launch Facebook Questions to compete directly with his former CTO's new company. When Snapchat was gaining considerable popularity soon after its launch, Facebook released the Snapchat clone app, Poke, and Zuckerberg sent Evan Spiegel a passive-aggressive email with the words, "I hope you enjoy it." Spiegel's irritation would later be evident at Facebook's flagrant copying of its ephemeral photo-sharing features.
All right, let's move on to another topic, Facebook. Oh, God, poor Evan. You create these things, and they borrow them rather extensively.
And arguably most surprising of these examples, when Instagram was acquired, Facebook would launch the Facebook Camera app 1 month later to compete directly with the app it had just acquired. It seemed Facebook's mission to crush its competition applied even if it belonged to them. As data-driven as Facebook was in making it the world's dominant social media platform, one would assume support for Instagram would be readily available, given its popularity and commercial potential. Decisions can be made based on data. However, as the Instagram team would come to recognize, judgment could be clouded by emotions. Facebook had changed Mark Zuckerberg's life. The night he launched the Facebook.com, he told a friend that one day a company would connect the world. He never imagined at the time it would be his company to do so. Facebook would also be regarded as a pivotal company that changed startup and entrepreneurial culture. Traditionally, venture capitalists would fund innovative companies, facilitate their growth, and then substitute the founders for seasoned CEOs. Zuckerberg, however, had no intention of stepping aside as Facebook grew. Zuckerberg's reluctance in relinquishing his leadership of Facebook set the tone for a new generation of startups, strengthening his emotional attachment to the company that had not only changed his life, but had changed the world. In the handbook given to new Facebook employees was a quote from Zuckerberg, "If we don't create the thing that kills Facebook, someone else will." This quote is a recognition of the highly competitive nature of the internet technology ecosystem and how once perceived unstoppable giants can quickly lose their relevance. But a noticeable aspect of this quote is the use of the word create and not acquire. Zuckerberg wanted Facebook to create the next big thing, not to acquire it. And in 2013, Facebook launched Creative Labs, an internal startup incubator to create the next standout social app. Zuckerberg didn't have an emotional attachment to Instagram. In his mind, Facebook was the priority, and when he saw Instagram achieving the success he wanted for Facebook, it put him on edge. In the mid to late 2000s, Facebook was the quote-unquote cool place to be. As the 2010s rolled in, that reputation became increasingly difficult to preserve. Although Facebook's users were growing, the real action was on apps like YouTube, Vine, Snapchat, and Instagram. These apps had an aura of vibrancy and edginess, while Facebook felt unimaginative and formal. Facebook was once known for being a place to connect with friends and family, but that image was transforming into a platform that had issues with privacy, fake news, bots, click farms, and wasted advertising. Despite having hundreds of millions of users logging in every day, it had the curious problem of people asking, does anyone even use Facebook anymore? Zuckerberg was becoming convinced that Instagram's ongoing growth wasn't helping Facebook, but hindering it. There are only 24 hours in a day, and if people are choosing to spend time on Instagram, that's time they're choosing not to spend on Facebook. So when Instagram asked for more staff to help develop stories, their request was initially denied. When they asked for more staff to help tackle illegal activity on the app, again their request was denied. While Facebook placed its stamp on Instagram, Facebook removed any reference to Instagram when people shared photos from the app onto Facebook. And to top it off, Facebook openly took credit for Instagram's success.
We believe Instagram has been able to use Facebook's infrastructure to grow more than twice as quickly as it would have on its own.
The independence of Instagram was ebbing away, and the pride Facebook once had for it had turned into suspicion, all of which culminated in sufficient neglect for Instagram's founders, Kevin Systrom and Mike Krieger, to announce their resignation on the 24th of September 2018. Facebook's insecurity can be summarized by the words of a bemused senior Instagram employee at the time. Facebook is a data-driven company, and the data strongly suggested that Instagram's growth was good for everyone. On the 28th of October 2021, Mark Zuckerberg announced Facebook's change of name to Meta Platforms, signaling his commitment to what he believes is the next evolution of the internet, the metaverse. Several months later, in February 2022, tech journalism was sent into a frenzy as Meta reported that for the first time in its history, daily active users on Facebook had declined. Meta's stock price plummeted, wiping out $200 billion in the company's valuation, and as of the publishing of this video, has continued to decline. Zuckerberg always had a greater emotional attachment to Facebook than to Instagram. Facebook was his creation, Instagram was not. But that emotional attachment appears to be weakening.
My sort of day is like, you wake up in the morning, look at my phone, you get like 1 million messages, right, of stuff that come in. It's usually not good.
Perhaps this comes from an acceptance that Instagram has always been the edgier, cooler app, and Zuckerberg doesn't have as much resistance to shape Instagram in the way he wants. In his admission that Facebook faces an unprecedented level of competition from TikTok, Instagram, not Facebook, has been tasked with combating the onslaught through Instagram Reels. As head of Instagram, Adam Mosseri said, Instagram is no longer a photo-sharing app. Mark Zuckerberg launched Facebook in 2004, but the internet is now a very different place, with his energies now focused on the development of the metaverse, on what he believes is the next chapter of the internet. Perhaps Facebook has been able to move on from the threat it always perceived Instagram to be. As companies around the world are pouring in billions of dollars into the development of their own metaverse platforms, the next chapter is shaping up to be an exciting one.